All right. Okay. So yeah, Julie, could you start the PowerPoint, please? Okay. All right. So again, yeah, welcome to UW River Falls Online Special Education Masters Program informational session. Okay. So, first of all, we like to discuss, the reason why you think, we think you should consider becoming special ed teachers. So, as you may know already, there has been, significant issues related to the shortages of special education teachers, and this is a nationwide issue. And just to show you the numbers, just in Wisconsin, Minnesota, so. In Wisconsin, about half of the schools have special education teacher vacancies. And when it comes to Minnesota, up to 84% of schools have special ed teacher shortages. So this means that, yeah, this is actually one of the most demanded teaching area. Okay, next, please. So there are five reasons to become special education teachers. First, you can choose your own path. So when you get licensed in special education, you'll be licensed from pre-K to 12 or and also and beyond. As you know, special ed teachers, the special ed students can stay at high school in the transition program up to age 21. So you can choose any groups, any level of groups of students to work with. So yeah, elementary or secondary, and you can hop around if you wish to do so. And students need you. So yeah, like I mentioned, special ed teacher shortages, and this has been a significant issue. And we have more and more students with special needs in this country. So yeah, this is really, high demand area. And you will build close relationships with students. You will have a lot of opportunities to work with students, like in one-on-one settings. You can get to know their families, really closely, and not just, families and students. You will have a lot of opportunities to work with, specialists like speech language pathologists, OT, PT, and list can just keep going. So yeah, you will build really close relationships with all of them. And you can create welcoming classrooms as you envision. And just for the practical side, you can boost your salaries and benefits by becoming special ed teacher. Next slide, please. Yeah, so just to give you the actual numbers. So yeah, like I said, yeah, special education teachers appreciate it. And then, those, especially with master's degrees, even more appreciate it. Just showing you the data from Minnesota. So average annual salary for special ed teachers, this, mostly includes special ed teachers with just bachelor's degree only. So their salary ranges from like 56 to 77,000. But if they have master's degree, this will bump up to like 63,000 to 84,000. And of course, this is average annual salary. So yeah, as you become more and more experienced, your salary will go beyond this range. Okay. So yeah, Julie, please.
You see it?
Yep.
Oh, okay. Oh, my turn. That's what you're saying. I was like, sorry, I thought I wasn't doing the slides well. Excuse me. So yes, I wanted to talk a little bit about the different pathways that we have in our program. So this is a new program, and we are currently offering three different pathways. And those look like one pathway is getting an initial license in special education as well as a master's degree. So that is for individuals who have perhaps a bachelor's degree in a field unrelated to education and they're looking for their first license. This is about 40 credits. The other pathway is if you already have a teaching license, whether this is elementary education or, even something in high school, um, you can get an additional license in special education plus a master's degree, and this is about 31 credits. The third pathway is for those individuals who already have a teaching license but are not really interested in getting the master's degree, so they can just pursue a special education license without pursuing the master's degree, and that's 28 credits. And this is what a typical program would look like for someone who does not currently have a license, a teaching license. So for this person, it takes about 2 years to complete the program. Starting in the summer, they would complete about 9 credits of foundation courses. So that's up here in the yellow. And as you can see, it averages about 9 credits per semester. So once you get into fall, spring, that's when you're really getting into kind of your upper level special education courses. The following then year is looking at more methods classes, practicum, student teaching, and then a research component that is 3 credits. However, it's spread across 3 semesters, that research project. And that involves just working really, really closely with me or with whoever's instructing that course at the time to kind of come up with a research project or something that's really specific and to your pro or to your practice, something you're really interested in, and we would just work closely to kind of craft that for you. So this is a typical, like I said, program plan for someone who does not have a teaching license. If you do have a teaching license already, we would just take out these foundation courses, and still it would you'd still finish the program in about 2 years, just because you wouldn't have those summer classes. And let's see. And if I'm happy to share these other pathways too with you if it would be helpful for you. Let's see. Some other things I just want to kind of highlight with regard to the special education program at UWRF. Um, there is field experience requirements throughout the program and throughout each course. The practicum courses are about 25 hours of field experience, whereas some of the earlier upper level classes are around 10 hours. However, because this program is completely online and asynchronous, it's really designed for working adults. And if you are currently working in a school setting, you can use your own setting for these field experience requirements. If by chance you are not working in a school, we do have support from UWRF through a field placement coordinator who would work with you to make sure that you would have a placement in an area that works best for you, probably where you're living, just to make that connection, to help facilitate that connection for you. You'll also have an opportunity just to connect with other special educators across the state of Wisconsin, across the state of Minnesota, and perhaps even beyond that, which is really nice to kind of start to hear about the other special educators' practices and experiences, because that really kind of goes a long way to just sort of creating an environment that feels safe and where you can kind of relate to one another. Um, the coursework is all practice-based and relevant. And I say that because um, it's really geared toward, like I said, working adults, but also those that are currently working in schools. So each class is really designed to give you that practice and relevant experience of the everyday work of a special educator. So definitely some conceptual things will come into play through coursework, readings, media, things like that. But most of the assignments are really designed to kind of work for you. And so you'll be working through these assignments in your own setting and with your own students. The other thing is just to look forward to is just frequent communication and feedback from instructors. So that's something that, as a goal of ours is to just really give a lot of feedback because it's online. We do kind of miss that face-to-face interaction. So it's important for us to really provide that feedback through just like through feedback on your assignments, weekly check-ins, those kinds of things. And all of our courses then are accessed through Canvas. And I just wanted to kind of share what this looks like for you in case you haven't had any engagement with Canvas before. It can seem a little intimidating at first. Oh, excuse me. Let me see. Sorry. Um, but I just wanted to share it with you so that you can kind of get a visual of what it looks like. And this is just one course and this is a student view. So this is kind of what your page would look like for a specific course. So this course, I think, I can't see with some of the pop-ups, but I think it's a collaboration and co-teaching course. And as you can see, each week is organized into one module. And each week, each module then will kind of walk you through kind of what we're going to be covering that week, what you'll be reading, any assignments that you might have due that week, and then also kind of wrap up and just something to just kind of front load what it is to look forward to for the following week. So I'll just kind of walk you through one of this is week one, so it's a little light. But this is kind of what it looks like, just some information, some overview information on the first page. You'll all of your readings and media will be available. A lot of times this you'll have a textbook possibly, or most likely, but also there will be, this is where you would have any PDFs or media links that would be required for that week. Here's an example. Oh, there we go. This is just an assignment that you can access, and it's all just right here on Canvas. And you just click next through all of these. It just kind of walks you through the week. And then following, just then to wrap up the week, it just kind of highlights here's what we talked about this week, and here's what to look forward for next week. So that is kind of what to expect, or just what it looks like as far as organization and walking in and what you can expect each week. So I think I'm that now on to you, Stacy.
Thanks, Julie. So I just want to add a few more highlights about our program and UW River Falls. As was mentioned earlier, any four-year degree, any completion of a bachelor's is a pathway into this program. And so one question we've had is, well, what if I don't have a bachelor's? What if I'm maybe very close or I'm a couple semesters away? What are my options? And I just wanted to mention for you, or maybe you know someone in your school who would apply to this. We do have a couple of options that are definitely tailored to working individuals, people who are maybe working under a special license, maybe they're a para. And one of them is our early childhood degree completion. So, this pathway, our candidates come to us usually with a completed AA in early childhood foundations, and then they complete their final 2 years in an online program at UW River Falls. When they finish, they have an early childhood license that's birth to grade 3, and then they can jump right into the master's program. So that is one option. We just recently are adding an additional option, which is called an interdisciplinary major, where you really can put together a lot of different courses to complete a bachelor's degree. Ultimately, you have about 24 credits that are focused on education. They don't necessarily have to be in teacher education, but they could be a child psychology class or something like that. And with those 24 credits plus your other credits to get to 120, you can earn a bachelor's degree through that pathway. And there are a lot of courses probably all of your courses would be online as well. And so we do have a lot of pathways for working adults if they're just trying to work toward that four-year degree and then go into that master's pathway. Because one thing we know with the shortages across the United States is every state has a pathway to licensure, and it may just be a license with stipulations or an emergency license, but individuals can get licensed for oftentimes up to about 3 years as long as they're enrolled in a completion program. So, as long as you're enrolled and working toward that completion, you can often get an emergency teaching license and be paid uh, uh, within the teacher salary schedule. So that's something too that can really be of interest to people who are trying to continue working and then complete their degree. Next, Julie. As you know, both Julie and Satomi have talked about, one of the main things we really are working on is convenience and flexibility. In Wisconsin, the license that this program qualifies you for is the license called cross-categorical special education. And that cross-categorical is pre-K all the way past, as Satomi mentioned, high school, because the transition programs. And so that really is a very all-encompassing special education license. In Minnesota, this most closely aligns to the ABS, or Academic and Behavioral Strategist license. And so that is what we would recommend for the Minnesota license on the side of that. And that also is probably the broadest special education license that students would seek. We know that many of our candidates are already going to be in the schools, and many of them are going to either be in special education classrooms or be working with students on IEPs and 504s. And so we have great opportunities to allow your field experience, which of course the field experience hours have to be in person, even though the coursework is online, but we can work with you to get your placements that you're currently working in the schools. We will work with you to get those placements to work within your current working schedule. We do ask that all candidates get experience in the early grades up through elementary, the middle grades, and high school. But we know that a lot of special education programs also run throughout the summer. So if you've had a lot of elementary experience in your own building, we would work with you to get some additional experiences and hours either during your prep time, maybe at the end of your school day, or possibly for some time over the summers to get those hours that you will need to get licensed either in Wisconsin or Minnesota. So that's something that we really work on. We are CEC aligned. CEC is the Council for Exceptional Children, and those are the special education standards that are nationally recognized. And so when we look at other states and their licensure opportunities, they're going to look for a program that is CEC, covers all the CEC standards. And that was a requirement for us to get approved through the Wisconsin Department of Public Instruction. So we are aligned to the CEC standards. Students do complete a portfolio based on the CEC standards, and that's a really important aspect if you are looking to get licensed in another state. Next. So when you first begin our program, one of the most important things is that you will meet with an advisor, probably Julie, perhaps another faculty in the program. And we really want to have this personalized experience for you. We want to get to know what you need out of the program. If you're currently working, what type of a setting are you working in so that we can work with you to get those field hours. We also recognize that there's a lot of different specialties in special education, and maybe you want to make sure that you work with students with certain needs, specific needs, and get more training in a particular area. We do have a field placement office, and so if we do need to find additional placements, we will help you to do that. We have so many connections through the school districts in Minnesota and Wisconsin, and really even in some other states, because we've been placing teacher candidates in so many licensing programs for many years. So we do have some great contacts. We really want to know what your goals are, and you will meet with your advisor every semester and to help you stay on track to graduation, as well as make sure that we are working with you in field placements that not only meet your needs, but also meet your long-term goals in this profession. Next slide. One of the things I love to sell about UW River Falls, which whether it's with my undergraduate programs or my graduate programs, is the cost. So the UWRF graduate program, this program cost this year $550 a credit, which is one of the lowest in the area. We don't have any differences for resident or non-resident. It's all $550 per credit. And you can see there that there are some higher cost programs out there. We are a newer program. We just launched this fall, but we're working on adding some scholarships. We are looking to look at ways that we can continue to help make it more affordable, especially the idea of a person being able to continue to work. I know that a lot of districts offer professional development funds, and that might be something that if you don't already use, you might want to access toward this program, especially with it being such high demand that a lot of districts will be looking to encourage teachers to possibly pursue that special education master's. Next, Julie. So before I get to questions, I'll give you an opportunity here a minute, just a couple of QR codes. On the left-hand side is the application page if you're interested to either start this summer or next fall. And then on the right-hand side is a QR code to a Google form. And on that form, you can put your contact information. If you'd like us to send you a copy of the presentation for yourself or someone else, you can put that on the Google form. And there are a few other things that you might want to indicate. If we have updates about the program, if we have updates about scholarships, those types of things, if you are on that Google form, we certainly then can reach out to you. So we just want to know you to know that that's available. Julie would respond to you if you put information on that Google form, or you could, of course, just reach out to Julie, and her email is there if you have just questions you want to ask. Next. So now we have an opportunity. You might have some really specific questions you want to ask, and we are open to that. I don't currently have the chat open. And so Tomi, maybe you want to stop the recording. And if anybody has a question, please feel free